This is 21. Start with verse 1. I'm going to read a few scriptures from this passage. The Lord visited Sarah just as he said he would, and did for Sarah what he had promised. So Sarah became pregnant and bore Abraham a son in his old age at the appointed time that God had told him. Abraham named his son, whom Sarah bore to him, Isaac. When his son Isaac was 8 days old, Abraham circumcised him just as God had commanded him to do. Now Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. Sarah said, God has made me laugh. Everyone who hears about this will laugh with me. She went on to say, who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? Yet I've given birth to a son for him in his old age. The child grew and was weaned. Abraham prepared a great feast on the day that Isaac was weaned. But Sarah noticed the son of Hagar the Egyptian, the son whom Hagar had borne to Abraham, mocking. So she said to Abraham, banish that slave woman and her son, for the son of that slave woman will not be an heir along with my son Isaac. Verse 11, Sarah's demand displeased Abraham greatly because Ishmael was his son. But God said to Abraham, do not be upset about the boy or your slave wife. Do all that Sarah is telling you, because through Isaac your descendants will be counted. But I will also make the son of the slave wife into a great nation, for he is your descendant also. My word for the day is joy and pain. You may be seated.
Come on.
The Christian life is a life that's full of hills and valleys. Solomon expressed this in Ecclesiastes and said there's a time to weep and a time to laugh. In other words, a time for pain and a time for joy.
Come on.
When we're here on earth, we must expect both joy and pain, laughter and tears, because you can't have the hills without the valleys.
Come on.
We have to understand that in the valleys where God works with us, because that's where the ground is level.
Yes, sir.
Anybody farming here? You can't farm on the side of a hill. It's very difficult. But in the valley, you can fertilize, you get a lot of growth, you get a lot of food, and then when you go take the hill, it's easier because of the stuff you went through in the valley. So I'm here to tell you, you want valleys.
Yes, sir. Oh.
Hills and valleys. This is especially true of family life.
Thank God, I need your help. Yeah.
It's the same people who bring us joy can also bring us pain. My mother's the youngest of 13, so I got all kinds of cousins. And some of my cousins bring me joy, and some of my cousins bring me pain. That's family.
Yeah.
That's the way it is. So in family, you're going to have conflict. You're going to have things that happen that maybe you don't understand, but it's all God's purpose. Relationships can be strained in family, change overnight. Sometimes your cousin likes you, the next thing you know, they don't. Sometimes as parents, you find out from our children. Sometimes the children like us when they get in their way, but when they're not.
Come on. Yeah.
Well, just saying. The coming of Isaac into their home brought pain and joy to Abraham and Sarah. You know, as we look through this, we're going to learn how we can have faith by watching what they did and what they went through. Abraham and Sarah represent faith and promise. Sarah had been without child till she was 90 years old. And back in that era, not having a child was seen as a curse from God. So wherever she went, people noticed, well, she's a beautiful woman, but she has no children. And that messes with you.
Yeah. Come on.
You know, we think today that folks gossip. Well, they gossip back then too.
Right.
People haven't changed. She sure is fine, but she ain't got no children.
Yeah.
What was going on there? And then she messed up and tried to fix it by saying, you know, Abraham, take my slave and go ahead, marry her, and you have a child with her. Maybe I'm going to help God out.
All right.
Now, where are my husbands at? Every husband, raise your hand. If your wife tells you that, you better tell her no. Because that ain't going to work. I'm not sure what Abraham was thinking about, but I said, nah, baby, we're just going to wait on God. But no, Abraham did what his wife told him to do. And now we got problems in the house.
Yeah.
So all these things are going on. And then all of a sudden, God appears to Abraham right before he destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. And she laughed when she heard God said to Abraham, you're going to have a child with your wife, Sarah, not Hagar. And she laughed. That's why they called him Isaac. It means laughter.
Yeah.
And when they laughed, God said, why are you laughing? Oh, I didn't laugh. Don't we do that with God?
Yeah.
No, God knows everything. So why are you lying to me? And God asked something that was a statement of fact, not a question. Is anything too hard for the Lord?
Well, come on.
Is anything too hard for the Lord?
Well,
We say that, but do we believe it?
Come on.
See, we say that, but do we live it?
Yeah.
My life motto is actions, not intentions. Why? Because I look at what you do, not what you intend to do, determine who you are.
Amen.
You can, we real religious. We can talk it, boy, we can speak in tongues, do all that stuff. But then we look at folks and go, are you sure you go to church?
You're right. Amen.
Because we go on Sunday, check the box, and Monday through Saturday. You know, that's for that church down the street. I know
Yes, sir.
y'all don't do that. Y'all don't do that here.
Yeah.
You know,
At White House.
Isaac reminds us that God. 2 Corinthians. Isaac reminds us that God keeps His promise.
Yeah.
Why did God wait until Abraham got old?
Right.
See, before Abraham could have still had the child. He proved that with Hagar.
Yeah. Yeah.
God wanted to make sure that when the child was born, Abraham didn't have the ability to have children.
Yeah.
Come on. Come on.
He wanted to make sure that Sarah couldn't have children. Physically, they were dead.
Yeah.
Because God wanted the glory to come to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want you to think you had anything to do with it.
Yeah.
So when y'all gave up, that's when God showed up.
Yeah.
25 years they waited.
Yeah.
25, how many, man, some of us 25 years, we can't wait 2 years.
Yeah.
Well, God promised me something, I'm waiting on it.
25 minutes.
Uh-huh. Well, I'm waiting. I claimed it.
Right.
Somebody told me I was supposed to claim it, and then it happened. Sometimes God wants you to wait until you're ready, so He gives you what He wants you to have in His time.
Right.
He's God, you're not.
Right.
So we're like a God we can control.
Right.
We're like that little baby Jesus. Baby Jesus, why don't we say, oh, are you kidding me? See, because a baby we can hold and control.
Yes, sir.
We want a God that, is like, Burger King's have it your way.
Right. Yeah.
Or then he's like a vending machine God. Put my tithes and offerings in and I get out what I want. But God doesn't operate that way. And if you want to have faith, you have to understand that and remember that. God operates on His time, in His season, when He wants to, so He gets the glory.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Not us.
Yeah.
Because see, when we start getting glory, we get big-headed.
Yes. Amen.
Come on, preacher.
We start thinking it's about us.
Yeah.
Newsflash, it's not about you.
Yeah.
You weren't created for you.
Come on, Doc.
You were created for God and His purpose.
Yeah.
So when Isaac was born, this is a reward for patience. They're patiently waiting. Abraham's called the father of faith, but it took him 25 years to really start trusting God. He made a lot of mistakes along the way.
Come on.
Why am I saying that? Don't think because you get saved, things get fixed overnight. They don't. Faith is a journey.
Yes.
And you're on that journey. And while you're on the journey, you're going to do things and you're going to say, God must hate me for this. No, God already knew you were going to do it.
Yes, He did.
See, He has a picture He's drawn of what your life looks like in the end, and you haven't seen it yet. And included all those things we call mistakes. All those detours and side roads we take. All those things where we, instead of waiting on God, we moved ahead of God. And as we start to learn to trust God, we realize, well, until God tells me to move, I'm not moving.
Yeah.
Stay right here.
I'm staying right here until God says move.
Yes, sir.
Because I've learned if I move ahead of God,
Hey!
if I move ahead of God,
Yeah.
ooh, marry the wrong person,
Yes, sir.
go through divorce and all kinds of mess.
Hey!
Ooh, Lord, you learn some hard lessons.
Well,
dating the wrong people,
Well.
taking the wrong job,
Yes, sir.
how life is like that. We have choices every day. How many times do we say, God, what choice do you think I should make today? That's called faith. When you trust him to allow him to make the decision on some things you think, I'm telling you right now, sometimes I'm glad God said no to some things I asked.
Well,
Come on here, man.
Yes, sir.
I'm so glad he said, no, that ain't the one. Leave that alone. No, stay out of that. Don't go down that road. No, don't go hang out at that club.
Yep. All right.
Don't be at that party.
Yes.
Don't go with that friend. You know that friend is trouble.
Yep. Yeah.
Hello.
Amen.
God speaks to us on a regular basis, and we take the time to listen.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
was trying to teach Abraham what faith was all about.
yeah.
And so as Abraham started to trust God, when Sarah got pregnant, he was like, oh my God, God was not lying to me. No. But it took him 25 years to figure that out. So don't think, well, I'm not there yet. Just let God keep working with you. He'll get you there.
Right.
The purpose of your trials and tribulations, the purpose of those things he takes you through is so you learn how to have faith in God as he takes you through the joy and the pain of life.
Come on.
Joy and pain is part of what life is all about.
Yes, sir.
It's in the painful moments that you learn to put your trust in God.
Yes, sir.
That you look back and go, ooh, I shouldn't have done that, God. But God is faithful to forgive us and keep moving on because he has a destiny for you.
Come on. Come on. Yeah.
He does. All you got to do is trust him. See, Abraham had two sons, Isaac and Ishmael, but Ishmael represented the flesh. Ishmael represented the law. Ishmael represented us before we get saved. We do it our way, and mess happens. As soon as Isaac got weaned, what did Ishmael start doing? Persecute. That's the flesh versus the spirit. You think just because you got saved, things will get easy? No, they get hard. It's a battle. It's a war.
Right.
You have to fight through to get the true salvation
Right.
that God wants you to experience here on earth.
Yeah.
Stop trying to get to heaven. God didn't create you for heaven. He created you for earth.
Come on.
We are his image bearers here on earth, and that means that on this earth we have a purpose to serve for God.
Yeah.
Why was Abraham chosen to be pulled out of his country? He didn't worship God, he heard from God and followed him. Because God had a plan down the road that through Abraham's seed would come Jesus.
Right.
Abraham wasn't special. He just started obedient. When God said move, he went, okay, and he didn't quite obey him the whole way. But as he started moving along, he started going, okay, God, I'm going to wait on you this time. Boy, this Hagar thing really blew up my face. That's why God came back to visit him and said, is anything too hard for the Lord? What are you waiting on? Trust God. If he said he'd give it to you, he will. In his time, in his season, for his purpose. You weren't made for you. You're made for him. Be patient. So that faith and that promise was great. That spirit and flesh had wars against each other. But here's what was interesting. When you get to the end of the story that we read, Hagar gets driven out because Sarah said, you know what, she can't hang in the house. How many of y'all wives know that would be true? If a second wife, I don't know how you can take two wives. I love my wife, but boy, I don't know if I can have two wives in the house. Love you, honey, but no, ain't no second one coming. Of course, my wife ain't going to ask for that either. She ain't going to say, yeah, go ahead. No. So when Sarah said leave, God told Abraham, because Abraham was hurt. This was his son. This was his wife. God said, no, send them out. I'll take care of them.
Yeah.
When they got out there into the wilderness, Hagar starts crying. She went away from her son because they'd run out of water, they'd run out of provisions, and she just felt that she didn't want to see her son die. So she moved away from him and cried. But Ishmael cried out to the Lord. because he remembered the promise that God had given about his life. And so while his mother was crying, Ishmael was seeking God. And God came to Hagar and said, I got this.
Right.
Your son will have many nations, much seed. In fact, there's a well over here if you look. That'll take care of you and provide you. And Ishmael, of course, is the father of the Arab nations.
Come on, man.
Right, right.
That's right.
See, even in your flesh, if you trust God and give your life to him, he will fulfill his promises to you.
Come on.
We have family members right now that we know aren't saved. We know we look at them and say, hey, no way in the world that person would be saved. Well, somebody said that about you too. Somebody said it about me.
Hey.
I got to share the pulpit a couple of weeks ago with a cousin of mine. We grew up, he's a pastor now in Virginia. And I sat in the pulpit and said, who in the world would have thought the two of us would be ordained ministers?
Well,
Nobody.
Yeah.
Let me just say nobody. See, God has his plan,
Yes,
his purpose. Even in what we call a mistake that Abraham made, blessings still happen. Because God knew and had a plan. See, at the end of the day, you can't determine anything. God does.
right, right, right.
And I'm going to speak to you special. In March of 2008, I was told by my father in the ministry to vote for a certain candidate for president. And here's why he told me to vote for it. He said, God is going to do something in the natural that's going to reflect what's going to happen in the spiritual. Because the natural happens before the spiritual. We're born in flesh and in sin, and then we get born again and become spiritual. You hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I voted for President Barack Obama in 2008. And he said God is going to raise him up because the church of Jesus Christ is getting ready to change.
Right.
The cross is hard to bear. And now that the church is having a hard time carrying that cross, I'm going to raise up the Africans to carry it.
Come on.
What? Well, let's see. That happened. Simon of Cyrene was from Africa.
Come
And
on.
when Jesus could no longer carry the cross,
Yeah.
he chose an African
Come
to carry it for him. We are in a time when our time as being servants is over.
Come on.
Our time of being the bottom is
Come
done.
Yeah.
There has not been a major move of God in the black church since Azusa Street over 100 years ago.
Yes, sir.
And God is going to rise us up. It's not a racial thing.
No.
It's a time thing.
Come on.
God deals with individuals and individual races and nations on his time. And our time is coming back. Why? Because the world needs Jesus.
Come on, doctor. Yes, sir. Come on, doctor.
I don't know if you've been watching what's going on with certain denominations, but they're having a problem getting some of the things through because the African part of their church, of their denomination, is saying, oh, no, we're not doing that.
Right.
Why is Africa doing that? Because Africa is getting ready to say, y'all need missionaries in America. We're coming to save you. Hello? God has his purpose. God has what he wants done. And our opportunity is to say, how do we live with faith by trusting what God, we've been through a lot. That was Black History Month. Let me give you some Black history. We were drugged here in chains off of prophecy the Bible talked about. Don't think it was a mistake. Sold by our fellow Africans into slavery. A war was fought that we barely participated in to set us free. What?
Right.
We had nothing to do with it.
No.
Civil rights legislation was passed and there were no black congressmen to vote for it. What? Wait, what? Yeah. God is setting us up for his purpose and his way. We just have to stop thinking like slaves.
Right. All right.
We have to start thinking like victors.
Yes.
Start thinking the way God created us for. God wants us to rise up and be who He's called us to be.
Yes, sir.
Stop being a victim. Be a victor. Stop looking at what folks have called you in the past. How they made fun of you in the past.
Right.
How they've talked to you in the past. And love what God made you to be.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because He has a purpose for you.
Yeah.
Churches are not where most people are going to get saved in the future.
Come on.
That's right. Amen.
It's going to be on the job. It's going to be in the highways and byways.
Right.
It's going to be us doing our thing.
Hey.
They're going to see
Right.
Jesus in us. They're going to wonder, how is it you keep getting these positions and stuff? Because I have a God who sits high and looks low.
Yeah.
The Bible says we're living epistles read of all men. That means we are the only Bible most people will see.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Rise up and live in faith. And understand that the joy and pain you go through is for God's purpose, not yours.
That's right.
Stand your feet.
Bless you.